Next on BYUSN, Cougar football toppled in Texas. BYU one win away from bowl eligibility, but is the offense broken? Is it time for a change at quarterback? And are the Cougars really in danger of missing said bowl game? We'll discuss whether these are overreactions or not. Don't forget ESPN's Trevor Matich, who joins us for another Matich Monday. Does he expect the Cougars to bounce back against West Virginia?
It was a wild weekend of Big 12 football. We say that every week. The separation in the league has begun. And 3 BYU quarterbacks took snaps in the NFL yesterday. They all won. And is Jaren Hall going to get some serious run as QB1?
More Taysom Hill running, please. Welcome to BYU Sports Nation, presented by the BYU Store, official outfitter of BYU fans everywhere. It is Monday, October 30th. I am Spencer Linton. He is the birthday man, Jerem Jordan. Happy birthday.
Thanks, man. My dad and sister were like, oh, you taking the day off? I was like, no, Mondays are valuable real estate here, unless I went to a Seahawks game the night before. But, congratulations to women's cross country, by the way. Bringing home the first of many Big 12 championships. Well done. The men almost got it done. They took second. Diljit Taylor tweeting Saturday, gave this cake to our AD on September 9th, 2021, when we got into the Big 12. Today we got him this. It is a trophy. So congratulations to the women's cross-country team. Very cool.
I've reached out to Diljit about a cake for you. We'll see.
I am more Jehovah's Witness on my birthday than I am member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. It's all good. It's fun. I get a lot of affirmation already. Like, I feel plenty affirmed. So I'm good. Thank you, though. I appreciate it.
Hey, well, really,
it's a big one for me. It's the 4-0.
This was an early birthday present for you. This trophy, this championship.
I will not even be touching it. They won't bring it over here, probably. But no, if they want to, that's great. One time, Guard Young let me borrow his silver medal from the Olympics, and I just wore it around one afternoon. Took it to football practice.
It's just buried in one of his drawers, by the way. It's not displayed or anything.
Micah Simon was like, "What's that from?" And I go, "The Olympics." He's like, "Are you serious?" I was like, "Yeah, it's Guard Young's. I don't know why. Why do you have it? I don't know. That'd be fun." But big 4-0. I feel like I'm 30, so yeah, we're good, man.
Hey, age is just a number. And all those other fun cliches.
I know.
Right?
I look at Blaine
40
and
is the new 30.
I know. Blaine's jacked and singing and playing the piano, and you're like, wait, what? Blaine's still got it going on. So be like Blaine Fowler.
So the phrase he ages like a fine wine doesn't really.
We don't really understand that very well around here.
Work with this culture. So what would that be? What would the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints version of that phrase be? Ages fine, like a fine cheese?
Is there a cheese? I don't know cheese culture. I get scared in the grocery store when I see those cheeses over there. I'm like, I don't even know what those are called. How much is that? Why would you buy that?
Oh, you know what we're doing? Yeah. We're just distracting you from the inevitable conversation that we need to have today.
Yeah.
I'm not sure it's going to be group therapy so much. I think we're just going to go head on into this.
No,
it's going to be more of a collision.
Head first dive.
Yep. All rise and shout. Let's get to what's trending.
We're going to build from this. I feel good about our team and our culture and where we're at. I believe in these guys, and there's still a lot more to do.
Listen, culture is going to be more important than ever after the debacle in Texas for BYU football. What's trending? Presented by BYU Food to Go, the MVP of your next event. Has that culture been fractured at all? I think we'll find out some things this week.
Yeah.
We're also going to roll out Overreaction Monday. But are the following statements overreactions, or are they spot on? We'll deliver a few loaded statements and then discuss if it is an overreaction or not. Beginning with number 1, Jerem, the BYU football offense is broken.
Okay, first off, overreacting or reacting in a massive way after a big loss at number 7 Texas is the worst time to to figure things out. BYU was supposed to lose this game big, and they did. But it's more than that. There are issues that are beyond this game, right? It's like the one time, we had a dog, and my wife was like, I think we need to get rid of our dog, But we started having this conversation at 11 p.m. I'm like, I'm tired. You're tired. This is the worst time to have this conversation. Let's rest, get a meal, and then chat. So that's what this feels like after Texas being like, everything. BYU's 5-3. Yep. You know who doesn't get fired? Coaches that are on a 5-3 team. Like, a lot of people are calling for massive change. When you are 5-3, you don't do that. Come on. When you're 2-6, yeah.
You can have those conversations.
But BYU is 5-3. Back to your question. Is the offense broken? With that said, yeah, absolutely. 8 games in, it is what it is. It could improve, but it's not going to improve a ton unless you make some sweeping change. I don't see that. BYU is bottom 20 in the country in yards per play, yards per carry, third downs, all the things that matter, right? The offense is absolutely broken. Can't run the ball effectively. They have to never give it away to have a shot to win, which BYU's done 5 times miraculously in 8 games, right? And how big were those wins? Like, because you're looking down the stretch, which we'll get to, and that was tough. Yeah, absolutely. The offense has major issues. Use whatever adjective you would like to. Broken, sure, yes. There are massive issues.
What's interesting about this is, why did it have to be another brutal performance in the afternoon in Texas? BYU's 3 losses are all away from home and all afternoon games against good teams. One's number 7 in the country, which just happened in Austin.
Yeah, don't take a ton from that game.
The other just beat Oklahoma on the same field they beat BYU, and frankly, BYU's offense looked pretty formidable against Kansas's defense.
6-2 Kansas and ranked.
Yes, not so much
With
against TCU. But again, this isn't just a trend that shows up in road games.
Sure.
BYU at home at night with energy and like home field advantage and turnovers, they've been able to figure some things out.
Yeah.
Also applicable in this game is BYU lost the turnover margin. In all 3 games BYU has lost this year, they've lost the turnover margin.
Yeah.
In their 5 wins, they've won the turnover margin.
BYU could have been +2 and lost this game.
Because Texas is that good.
I said Friday, and I felt strongly BYU needed to be +3 just to compete.
Yeah, and let's define broken. Broken doesn't mean you can't fix some things, but I do think we're too far into the season to make wholesale changes.
Correct.
BYU's kind of just stuck doing what they are. Like, we're too far into this to be like, yep, let's just throw out the whole playbook and do something entirely different. It would be an absolute disaster to try something like that.
It'd be worse than what it is.
BYU can try for, work for better offensive line play, better run blocking, better pass blocking, and they can hope that the opportunistic nature of the offense combined with good defense and turnover margin can show up in a game or 2 from here on out, and BYU can manufacture another win or 2 with that formula. So it's broken, but there are some things that can try and duct tape or gorilla tape or, jimmy rig to figure this thing out a little bit and get another win, at least one more win.
Just get one. We don't need more.
Yeah.
Literally, just give me one more win. The fact that BYU is going to go to a bowl game with these numbers on your screen is unbelievable. Like, the defense did a tremendous job, which we'll get to in a minute. Number 2, is it time for a change at quarterback? Before you answer, let's hear what Kalani Sitake told you after the game on the BYUSN postgame.
When you're looking at that, it's like, I think everybody thinks that the easy answer is just get another quarterback in there. It's like, how about let's just protect for him first, and give him a chance. And so when he's getting hit, and that's not his fault. That's protection. We had issues in protection breakdown. He was managing the game the way we wanted it to. We just weren't converting on plays. And again, Texas has a say on that. They're a really good defense, and they made things difficult for us. But I believe in our players. I believe in Keaton. I believe in our guys, and we just didn't make enough plays.
I thought that was an interesting take by Kalani, and I'm glad that he defended his quarterback. Let's protect Kedon Slovis first before we start discussing, is it time indeed for a change at quarterback? I think the offensive line needs to be better, straight up. They know it.
Is it going to be better, though, 8 games in? Like, how much better could it be?
We've seen it at times. We've seen it better at times. Like, we know the capability is there for them to be better. And how much of what happened on Saturday was just because Texas's defensive front is ridiculously good.
Again, we're not looking at just this game. We're looking at the whole season now. Certainly.
Right, and we've seen some good.
This was the worst performance
We've
of the year.
seen some good, especially in pass pro.
But not enough. Like, not enough. Yeah.
So is it on Kedon, though? Like, do we put that on Kedon Slovis?
No, but Kedon can do some things, too. Everybody's got to do stuff. Everybody. Austin Collie made that point on the postgame show saying, hey, it's on everybody, like literally on everybody, on Keaton, on the run game, on the offensive line, on, hey, Keaton Slovis scrambled there. He's been a pocket passer most of the year, right? He's not like a traditional runner, although this was his second longest run of his life. But, you know, when BYU's behind big like that, it's a little different. So is it time for a change at quarterback? I say no. But that leash is much shorter than it was. I think that if the offense sputters against West Virginia, that Jake Retzlaff should get a look. He should get a chance.
Because he can still redshirt. It's going to take away his eligibility.
Yes, they've saved him until this point. Some people asked that on Saturday. I tweeted it out. Hey, they're trying to save his redshirt. They can use him in every game if they want now. You can play 4 games, any 4. They just happen to push it to the last 4 now, and a bowl game. So in theory, Jake Retzlaff could play all 5 games left in the season should BYU make a bowl game. I think Keaton Slovis should still start, but that leash is shorter.
The quarterbacking and the offensive, the sink of success for the offense has significant leaks. But they can do some things to wrap it up and stop it from leaking as badly. It's going to leak all season. Like it's going to leak all season.
This is one of the worst offenses BYU's had in a long time.
But
and
they
it's disappointing coming off of the era of Zach Wilson and Jaron Hall. We've seen some real success here from the same play caller, from the same, you know what I mean? Like Aaron Roderick and the offense need to figure a couple of things out to get a win.
Yes, and guess what? You know what? If Keaton doesn't play well, Lavelle would do this in his era. He'd just be like, you know what? It's not your day. His offensive coordinators would do this. Like, you'll get him next game. If Keaton doesn't look good against West Virginia and it's going poorly, and we're 2 quarters in, you can let Jake have a go and then be like, all right, Keaton, reset, okay, start at home against Iowa State, fine. Like, just because you pull him doesn't mean, like, he's done for the rest of the season. Like, Lavelle did it all the time. It happened often.
Would he be done mentally, though, is the hope you don't have, right? Don't be done mentally.
All right, number 3. The BYU defense did enough to win the game at Texas.
Now, in the end, they crumble, and, it's 28 points allowed, but it was only 21 going in the 4th. It was sub 300 at the time. They'd taken the ball away twice. Malik Murphy threw for 170. Yeah, if the offense is going toe-to-toe and scores 2 touchdowns in this game, it's 21-14 going into the 4th. Yes, I believe the defense did more than it was asked. The offense did almost nothing to help in this regard. The 2 field goals, stalling in the red zone, killed BYU in this game. I don't know if BYU wins the game, but they're competitive, which is what I was hoping for. BYU was not competitive in this game.
Yeah, I was disappointed, and I said this to a number of people I was standing on the sideline next to. At 21-6, after a second red zone 4th down stop, BYU gets the ball back. I said,
and those.
Why do I feel like BYU has no chance to win this game?
Because the offense couldn't muster anything.
It's 21-6, and BYU has the ball after another 4th down stop in the red zone against Texas' offense.
Let's call it 4 takeaways. It was 2 traditional and 2 on 4th.
And I
inside
said,
the 5.
Why do I feel like there's just no shot? Like they're waving the white flag almost. It would just run. Like the clock's winding down. It was disappointing. But, I mean, what do you do? What do you do? Then they try and stretch the field, and Keaton throws an interception, and then Texas scores a touchdown, and it's 28-6, just like that. And that's kind of when the wheels fell off. But, the defense up to that point, second 4th down stop in the red zone, it's 21-6.
What if I told you?
It's a 2-score game.
But was it? It didn't feel like it. What if I told you the game-winning score was within the first 3 minutes on the Xavier Worthy punt return? That extra point was the game winner. BYU did not muster.
And that didn't come against the defense.
Did not. Yeah, that one didn't come against
special teams.
That's tough. They've had some real bright moments. They've had some tough returns, right? Arkansas and now Texas.
Yeah.
Okay, number 4, last one. Overreaction or not. BYU's in real danger of not making a bowl game.
Ooh. All right, let's hear from Kalani once again, and then we'll give our opinions.
Well, we got to get on the road again and have success on the road. Our losses have been on the road, so we've got to figure it out. And, we did a lot of different things to change up our schedule, try to get an emphasis on starting fast. Obviously, we didn't, so we'll keep trying things and try to find ways to get our guys to execute a higher level. We just have to, and hard to do when you're going on the road, but what a great opportunity for us to go to West Virginia.
And win and potentially get bowl eligible.
It's at night. We're good, guys.
It's a night game.
It's a night game. The sun will set 45 minutes before. BYU's winning. We're good.
This is the real.
It's over. BYU's going to a bowl game.
This is the real litmus test for this trend this season. A road game at West Virginia, East Coast, 10-point underdog right now.
Getting weird with
to
the
get bowl
Mountaineers.
eligible.
Yeah,
but
the next two games, I feel like BYU is going to win one of those two. I'm confident, despite all the issues on offense, BYU will. Like, Iowa State's the most winnable to me. I know it's a good team, but it's
in Provo. BYU's unbeaten in Provo.
We don't have the time yet on that one, but I don't really care. I think BYU is really good at home, right? So, yeah, next 2 weeks you get a win. Now, if BYU does not, and they're going to play the Bedlam homies, Oklahoma State, now you're in real trouble.
Oh, if BYU loses the next two?
Now you're, like,
then it's danger zone.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, so got to get it done the next 2 weeks for sure, obviously.
We just learned, yes. Oh, praise this birthday Monday for Jerem.
What, the time?
Iowa State is an 8:15 Mountain Time kick.
It's over.
In Provo.
BYU's getting 7 wins this year. They're winning the next 2, baby. Let's go.
They're winning at least 5 at home.
Yeah, 5-1. Defend LaVell Edwards Stadium. Hey, everybody, stop stressing out.
No, not yet. They're not in real danger of not making a bowl game.
Yeah, we're good.
Yet.
We good. Night games, we're good.
If they lose to West Virginia and Iowa State, both night games, by the way.
Then
now we can get worried.
Yeah.
Now we can really get worried.
Yeah.
All right, Mailbag Monday. We asked a bunch of questions. We discussed on this Overreaction Monday. Let's answer some of those. Chris Freeman on X asks, what do you think is the most fixable part of BYU's lackluster offensive production overall?
Keaton Slovis getting the ball out quickly.
Okay.
Yeah, because I don't know that you can just run block better now.
That also factors into BYU's play calling and the quick game, which they have not shown a ton of. If they implemented the quick game and made it more of a point for Keaton Slovis to get the ball out quick because of quick passes in the quick game, that would help with that.
Yes, BYU's not going to play a defense like Texas the rest of the year either. Oklahoma's defense has been pretty good, but they've shown they can be vulnerable at times.
Okay.
Like Saturday at Kansas.
Good question. I'd also say that you have to start with BYU's blocking up front. Like, the offensive line has shown at times that they can do enough to spring a few big chunk plays. Like, it hasn't been great and I'm not asking for it to be great. I'm just asking for it to be average.
Okay.
Yes.
It may be below average. Because right now it's horrendous.
Can we be average?
Yeah.
Like, if that is my fixable thing. Get the offensive line to average play, and BYU is going to win a game. That will happen.
I just want to win one of the next 4. I'm not that picky right now.
Okay?
Yeah.
Sean Wilkie on Instagram asks, what was in the worst state, last year's defense or this year's offense?
This year's offense is worse than last year's defense. As bad as...
Statistically speaking.
Statistically speaking, yeah. No, BYU is 7th worst in third downs and 5th worst in yards per carry. That's tough.
Well, total offense isn't much better than that.
I don't really care about total offense because it depends on how many snaps you get off per game, right? You could go tempo. You can go tempo, get a couple first... Yeah. Dave Pash at one point said, a rare first down by BYU. They had 2 fewer than Texas at the time. I was like, no, that's not accurate. But it felt like it. But perception was accurate. Jeez.
Hashtag BYUSN on X, Facebook, and Instagram to chime in with your Mailbag Monday questions. We'll answer some more of those later in the show.
Coordinator's Corner, Aaron Roderick, Kelly Papinga, the offensive and special teams coordinator, is going to be in studio at that there desk coming up at 2 Eastern on the BYUtv app.
Up next, ESPN's Trevor Matich brings his strong opinions on Halloween Eve. What did he say is spooky and creepy? And does he feel like BYU's in danger of not making a bowl game? This is BYU Sports Nation.
This portion of BYU Sports Nation is presented by BYU Food to Go, the MVP of your next event.
Accidents don't just happen 9 to 5. They happen when you least expect them. The team at Siegfried & Jensen is here for you 24/7. Nights, weekends, every day, every hour. Really here for you. No matter when you call us, you'll speak to a real person and have access to the same expertise and personal attention as always, and get the legal help you need when you need it. Nights, weekends, every day, every hour, 24/7. Learn more at siegfriedandjensen.com.
Meeting Max on Mutual was unexpected.
Hi, my name is Addie.
My name's Max. I'm going to school for nursing right now.
I studied early childhood special education, and I'm a teacher now.
Addie was up in Idaho, and I was living in Draper at the time.
My friends and I just came down to Utah for a weekend. We're just all like swiping on Mutual. Like straight up, if it was not for Mutual, like we would have not have met.
We wouldn't have been able to like gone on a date had we not both been on Mutual that day at that time.
You're not ready for a BYU football game without BYU Sports Nation Game Day on BYUtv. Join in the excitement 2 hours before kickoff in Cougar Canyon. The cast and crew are locked and loaded to pregame every matchup this season. Join in the experience for each home game just outside the stadium. There's nothing like the tradition, spirit, and fun that connect Cougar fans everywhere. Join in person on BYUtv or on the free app.
Lassiter pulls it in. And it's recovered by BYU. Isaiah Banya.
We are live in Studio B with your day-to-day BYU Sports play-by-play. I'm Spencer Linton alongside Jerem Jordan. It is now our pleasure to welcome in for another Mattich Monday, and I'm guessing a fired-up Mattich Monday at that. ESPN college football analyst and expert, insider, all-around good man, and a BYU national champion, Trevor Mattich is back on the show. Following, frankly, a debacle in Austin, Trevor. So how would you wrap your mind around where in the world it went wrong for BYU? Where would you begin that conversation?
Well, I would start by acknowledging that this is a top 10 team. And I think Texas may well end up in the playoff. They're that good. They have a tough schedule to go to finish out, but they could very well make the playoff. So we start there. But where it really starts and ends is two places. Generally, they start slow. Generally, they'll start with giving up a defensive touchdown to the opponent or a special teams touchdown like they did in this one with a punt return to Xavier Worthy, which was just a couple things went wrong there. And then the offense is very limited by the ability of the offensive line to run block. And so those things kind of combine to put them behind the curve and especially behind the chains.
You mentioned the offensive line and the run game specifically. Offensively, BYU's got massive issues. They have. We're hoping it'd be corrected. It has not been corrected quite yet. Where do you start the conversation and what the offense needs to do in the final 4 games of the regular season?
Well, the conversation starts in acknowledging what you can and can't do, not what you wish you could do. And this offensive line, they're not good run blockers as a group. And there are probably reasons for that, but the proof is on tape. They've been largely quite good in pass protection, except when they play a team like Texas. Texas, one of the best defensive fronts in the country, and they had a lot of good moments, the BYU offensive line, in protecting against that defensive front. And they blitzed. Texas did a fair amount, and there were times when those blitzes were picked up. And when those things happened, the passing game started to work a little bit. The problem is it didn't happen consistently enough. And in between the times when the offensive line protected the quarterback well, there were plenty of times when they just got overwhelmed. So that's what you got. So now what do you do? So you talk about the creativity of it. And this is where, the offensive staff needs to work around those things, and they try, but they're limited by the fact that they've got a quarterback who is not particularly mobile. I love Keaton Slovis as a quarterback. He's a terrific pocket passer, and he's an elite leader. But he's not Zach Wilson. He's not Jaron Hall. He's not a guy that's going to fix the problem with poor pass protection by running around and making defensive pass rushers chase him all over the place from sideline to sideline. He's just not that guy. But if you give him protection, He's very, very good. And so now what do you do? So, there's things they can do from a creativity standpoint, move the pocket more. They can, employ more creative screen looks. And they tried to do that in this game a few times, and the execution was so poor by the players. I think they got away from some of that stuff. But these are some things that you need to do, just acknowledging that you're not going to get good pass protection. Your quarterback is not going to be able to fix it from a starting point in the pocket.
Trevor Matich of ESPN is on BYU Sports Nation. On the other side of the ball, it felt like the defense made enough plays, certainly up through that second red zone, 4th down stop, to try and at least give BYU a chance to win the game. Are we wrong to believe that the defense made enough plays to give BYU a legitimate chance to beat Texas?
The defense was magnificent. They were amazing. The special teams put them in a hole to start the game. The offense couldn't do much of anything, and yet the defense did a phenomenal job. I mean, 2 goal line stands, a 3rd red zone stop where they forced a turnover. It wasn't like a mistake by the offense and BYU was there to take advantage of it. They forced the turnover by getting into the backfield and stripping the ball and then recovering it when Texas had the ball on the 10-yard line for another potential score. As a matter of fact, Texas didn't really blow this thing open until an interception was returned down to the 8-yard line, and then there was another turnover that gave Texas another short field. Other than that, the BYU defense played lights out. So I would say not that they played well enough to give them a chance. They played well enough to win this game, and they got no help from any other phase of the game.
It's tough when the 4 TD drives from Texas offense only used 148 yards. That's tough. Felt like that we agreed. The defense did a really good job. Granted, you look at 35, you break it down, they did. Okay, back to the offense for a second. How long is the leash for Kedon Slovis until BYU mixes it up with Jake Retzloff to see if there's something, a different gear, a different option there?
Sometimes you make a switch at quarterback, not because your current quarterback isn't getting it done, but because your offensive line isn't good enough to protect him as a pocket passer, and you got to put in somebody who's a bit more mobile. And behind Kedon, there's a guy that's more mobile. At the same time, the only way for this offense to really move the ball consistently is chunk plays through the air. And Slovis is the guy who's developed the chemistry with a really good set of receiving core. I mean, really good. And I mean, Darius Lassiter, Chase Roberts, Keanu Hill, Cody Epps, a bunch of big, tall tight ends. These guys are good. Now, they could be more precise, some of them, in their routes, but they finish plays downfield. And you need a quarterback that'll know where to throw and can get him the ball there. And I still think that Kedon is the guy to be able to do that. At the same time, if he continues to be overwhelmed in the pocket, maybe you make a change, not because Kedon's not getting it done, but because you need a guy that can escape. And so we'll see how the offensive line does.
Trevor Matich of ESPN on BYU Sports Nation. Okay, now we turn the page and look ahead to West Virginia. BYU is now a 10-point underdog on the road in Morgantown. But, Trevor, it's a night game. Are you all in on BYU playing better at night? Because it certainly feels that way over the last 4 seasons. Will that help BYU in any way? Also, that West Virginia is maybe not as good as Texas.
Yeah, but West Virginia is really good.
True.
They won last week. They continue to get better as the season goes on. So does Iowa State, by the way, which is another team that people are pointing to that BYU might be able to pick up their 6th win. And West Virginia, Morgantown, is a really creepy, freaky, strange, weird place to play at night as well. And it'll be a great experience for BYU fans who go there because Morgantown at night is like no other place at night. It's not just intimidating and strange. It's also a little scary. It's a great environment. So West Virginia it would be a quality win for BYU if they're able to pull this out. But again, it comes down to what we've talked about before, guys, and the way that BYU needs to win. They need to win the turnover battle. They need to win the penalty battle, have fewer penalties. And they need to execute better. And against West Virginia, they're going to need to execute better on offense and on special teams. Let's just take a moment to describe where on special teams execution broke down against Texas that they need to improve on. It was that punt return for a touchdown in the first quarter. And it started out with poor execution because the punter kicked the ball not straight down the middle of the field, but almost down the middle of the field. He kicked it right along the punting team's left hash mark. right? So the returner, Xavier Worthy, had either direction to go, anything he wanted to do. Now, when you look at the end zone view of that play, you see the gunner went down and just flew right by the returner. He didn't break down, didn't make the returner slow down and make him juke him so his buddies had time to kind of catch up to a long punt. He just went flying right by him as if he wasn't there. So good. So BYU now is playing with 10 guys. 5 of the remaining guys were all lined up in a row to the left of the left hash. It looked to me expecting the ball to be punted over towards the left sideline. Well, when it wasn't punted toward the left sideline, they were already outflanked to the middle. So 5 guys are gone. Now you got the punter, 6, the gunner who ran by him, that's 7. Now you got 3 guys to cover the entire field from the left hash all the way to the right sideline. And that was just too big of a hole for those guys to cover. That's poor execution. If BYU tightens up things like that, they have a chance to win this game against West Virginia. If they do not, then BYU won't win another game this season.
I was just going to ask that question because it's certainly a tough November at West Virginia, Iowa State at home, Oklahoma at home, who certainly is vulnerable, but Kansas has shown they're pretty good, actually. And then, of course, at Oklahoma State, who looks awesome to end the season. BYU needs to win one more game to get a bowl game. We've asked a couple of times, what's the most winnable opportunity in the last 4, in your opinion?
This one, maybe Iowa State. I think Oklahoma has so much to play for, and they've got so much skill that the offense of BYU is going to need to catch up to a degree. Now, the Oklahoma defense has had trouble in recent weeks. And if BYU can protect the passer, BYU can move the ball and score some points and keep this thing close. Oklahoma State has been playing lights out. They have a legitimate Heisman candidate at running back in Ollie Gordon. He has been unstoppable in recent weeks once they started to figure out that they needed to commit to handing the ball to him. Another place where BYU's offense needs to grind out long drives and finish with touchdowns so that they don't get their defense worn out by the end of the third quarter. Iowa State has one of the best defenses in the Big 12. BYU's offense needs to execute better, right? And then you got this game at West Virginia. So if I were to pick 2, you just look on paper, you look at West Virginia, maybe Iowa State, but every one of these teams is 5-3 or better, 5-3 or 5-3 or better. And so this is where you've got a situation where BYU just has to execute a whole lot better. And so I look right now at the possibility of making a bowl, and I think the same thing that I did when the season started. Given the schedule, given that it is BYU's first season in the Big 12, that the other legacy Big 12 teams have been recruiting to that conference for decades, and BYU is now recruiting to that conference for the first time, not even a full year. BYU to get to a bowl game would be a fantastic season. I still believe that. With the times in this season that have been awful and ugly, if BYU can find a way to get one more win, I think we have to look at this as a magnificent overall coaching job by Kalani Sitake, and especially that defensive staff. And so I look at it that way. I just don't see an FCS school that should be penciled in as a win in the remaining schedule.
Trevor, your spooky, creepy reference was totally timely with it being Halloween week and all in reference to Morgantown. And in that line of thinking, what's your go-to Halloween candy on Halloween Eve and through this holiday?
Candy corn. There is only one correct answer to that, candy corn. Now, you can make a close second, any one of several different variations of peanut butter stuff, but peanut butter cups, Reese's Pieces, stuff like that. But if you don't put candy corn at number 1, you've got no sense of history, no sense of value, no sense of what makes right in this country.
You saved your hottest take for the very end. I love it. Trevor, it's great to talk with you, man. Happy early Halloween, and we appreciate the clarity and the forthright nature of your commentary.
Thanks, guys.
Trevor Maddich of ESPN.
Has never been more wrong on any subject ever. I'm not just no candy corn guy, I'm anti-candy corn guy.
Like straight up, you will not eat it at all.
No, I'd rather eat candle wax. No. To me, it is candle wax. Come on now. BYU football with Kalani Sitake is tomorrow night, 8:30 Eastern on the BYUtv app, ESPN Plus as well, as the coach talks about what happened on Saturday at Texas. Big game at West Virginia Saturday night.
Up next,
Minnesota starting quarterback Kirk Cousins injured, maybe an Achilles, out for the season. Does that mean Jaren Hall is going to be the starter for the Vikings? Another BYU quarterback starting the NFL? We'll discuss next on BYU Sports Nation.
BYU Sports Nation is presented by the BYU Store, official outfitter of BYU fans everywhere.
Hit the road with the all-new and all-electric Nissan Ariya SUV. Equipped with ProPilot Assist 2.0 that guides you through lane changes and helps you maintain distance between cars. 360-degree traffic monitoring and freeway mapping keeps you centered for smooth and precise driving. ProPilot Assist takes some of the stress out of your commute so you can enjoy the ride. Available at Tim Daly Nissan Southtown and South Jordan.
If you're looking to build your brand awareness and increase market share as BYU moves into the Big 12, this is the place, BYU Athletics. We can provide the tools you need to make sure your company is seen and heard. BYU Athletics is where you can align your products and services with loyal fans that cheer for our Cougars. And they can also help your business win. Learn more about what a partnership with BYU Athletics and your company will look like. After all, this is the place. Email sponsorship at byu.edu today.
Tonight, two elite athletes ready to face off in an epic battle.
Wait, isn't this a Mountain America commercial?
Cut! Let's go again.
Ready to determine the best credit card of all time.
Easy. The Mountain America Rewards card.
No, clearly it's their cash back card.
But don't you want travel rebates?
I'll take cash.
Guys, I'm partial to the low rate card.
Beautiful cut.
Find the right credit card for you at Mountain America.
That boy must have hairspray.
Follow BYU Sports Nation on social media, on Facebook, X, Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok.
Welcome back to Studio B on Halloween Eve. I am Spencer. He is Jerem. Let's roll out your Monday headlines.
BYU football lost 35-6 at number 7 Texas. That'd be weird if a team from the state of Utah lost by that score to a top 10 team. That's weird. BYU turned the ball over 3 times, had 292 yards of total offense. Kalani Sitake says it needs to be better.
Yeah, it's taking care of the football, and it's protecting our quarterback, establishing a very consistent running game. You know, that's what we got to do. So I felt like Texas did some really good things to take stuff away, but there's a lack of execution from all of us and on all 3 phases. You know, where I think we can be better, and that's we'll work on it. We'll progress.
He's playing at West Virginia this week. 7 Eastern, night game on FS1. And we know the kick time for Iowa State the next week in Provo on Saturday, November 11th, announced this morning as night game, 10:15 Eastern on ESPN. The Cougs are now guaranteed to win both.
Vampire Cougs for the win. On to Cougars in the NFL Part 1, a wild Sunday, including Zach Wilson, who somehow, with 24 seconds on the clock, tied the game for the Jets.
Hey.
And the guys in gang green found a way, 13-10, to beat the Giants. 240 yards passing for Zach and a TD. He was the Jets' leading rusher with 25 yards on 4 carries. Jaren Hall pressed into action for the first time in his NFL career because Kirk Cousins apparently torn his Achilles. The Vikings beat the Packers 24-10. Hall was 3 for 4 for 25 yards. He may be the starter moving forward for Minnesota. And Taysom Hill, 9 carries, 63 yards, 2 touchdowns, completed 1 pass for 44 yards, caught 1 pass for 14 yards, and a Saints 38-27 win over the Indianapolis Colts. Jamal Williams added 30 rushing yards for the Saints in that victory. I saw a stat yesterday that the Saints are 17-1 when Taysom Hill carries 7 or more times in a game.
That's such a random one, because him carrying 7 times doesn't mean they win, but apparently it does. Fred Warner totaled 10 tackles for the Niners in a 14-point loss to your Bengals. Puka Nacua 3 catches rather for 43 yards. The Rams 43-20 loss to the Cowboys. Tyler Algier, 8 carries, 31 yards for the Falcons in a 28-23 loss to the Titans. Michael Davis, 4 tackles for the Chargers in a 30-13 win over the Bears. Kyle Van Noy had a tackle for the Ravens in a win over the Cardinals.
Who they think gonna beat them Bengals?
Niners stink.
Not the
49ers.
Weeks,
wow.
BYU
doing me a solid as Seahawks fan.
BYU women's cross country. We mentioned this off the top.
Yeah.
Won the university's first ever Big 12 championship on Saturday. Lexi Halliday-Lowry, the highest finishing runner for BYU, who took 4th place. The Cougars' top 7 runners all finished in the top 15. Amazing, which earned them all Big 12 honors.
Number 3, BYU men's cross country took 2nd right behind Big 12 champ number 2, Oklahoma State. Creed Thompson led the way for the Cougs, who will compete for a national championship, both the men and the women, in a couple of weeks.
7th-ranked BYU women's soccer taking on Oklahoma in the quarterfinals of the Big 12 tournament in Round Rock, Texas tonight, 6:30 Eastern on Big 12 Now on ESPN+. If BYU wins, which they will, they'll take on the winner of TCU and UCF on Wednesday, and we learned they want TCU.
Yes, we did. Number 8 women's volleyball swept for a 2nd straight night on Friday against Kansas State. This marks the first time BYU's lost back-to-back games to an unranked team, or in this case, the same team, for the first time since 2011.
Whoa.
Up next, 2 home matches Friday and Saturday against Cincinnati. Weird matches in Manhattan Thursday and Friday.
Jimmer Fredette helped lead Team Miami to a second 3-on-3 World Tour stop win, this time in Abu Dhabi. Didn't they win in Santiago, Chile, just like last week?
Literally last week,
He's the world traveler.
Yeah, them Delta.
Abu Dhabi. Jimmer was named the MVP of the event for the 2nd time on the World Tour. He blew the game wide open when he took over late in that championship game.
Still got it. Men's golf competing in the Kapolei Invitational, the Kapolei Golf Club in Hawaii, today through Thursday.
And BYU women's golf competing in the Hurricane Invitational at the Biltmore Country Club in Coral Gables, Florida. Play began this morning, and that, too, runs through tomorrow.
And last but not least, Robbie McCombs of Bank reports that BYU men's hoops beat Stanford in a secret scrimmage.
That's a win.
Saturday, 77-72. Next year, that's an ACC win. Down Hall, Dawson Baker didn't play. Robbie reported that Hall should be ready for the season opener on November 6th, while Baker could miss some time.
Those are today's headlines. Now some opinions in the Whip. The Whip Round presented by Maersk, your e-commerce logistics shipping partner.
Jaren Hall came in for the injured Kirk Cousins. Apparently a season-ending Achilles injury after the game. Jaren spoke to the media about being ready to be the Vikings quarterback.
Very. I have a great coaching staff around me. Coach O'Hara has done a great job, preparing me. Coach Grant on the side with him, and the KO. So it's a great coaching staff. I feel like they've done a great job of preparing all of us each and every week, making sure that we, dot our I's, cross our T's, and are ready to play. And that's just a professional approach you take every week. And I pride myself on preparation. So once you get on the field, it's just a game. And so I feel like I'm more than capable and ready to do whatever's asked of me.
It stinks for those guys, but 2 Achilles have yielded Zach Wilson and Jaren Hall as starting opportunities now.
Crazy. Same injury.
Same injury. What do you expect from Jaren Hall as the Vikings starting quarterback next week?
Oh, man. Well, for one, I expect him to be the starter for at least 1 game, but I also expect the Vikings probably to maybe bring in a veteran to help shore up that room. I don't know if Jaren's going to be the guy the rest of the way.
Nick Mullen should be ready in 2 weeks, apparently.
Yeah, we'll see. But I expect a watered-down game plan, and for the Vikings to utilize Jaren Hall's mobility a little bit. He'll probably be out of the pocket a lot, and they'll probably get him on the move because that's what he does. Not high expectations, but there are enough playmakers around Jaren Hall that he could win a game for sure.
Yeah, and by the way, they play at Atlanta, so you're going to see Tyler Algier
and Jaren
reunited on the other side. That's fun. Yeah, I expect him not to turn it over. That's what he does.
Yeah,
takes care of the
football.
Yep. Although he did, unfortunately, in a strip sack fumble,
give it up
in the game. Yeah, so maybe he'll learn from that and take care of the ball.
3 for 4 passing in that limited action. Okay, back to BYU women's volleyball. How do back-to-back losses to unranked Kansas State, middle of the pack team in the Big 12, impact volleyball's postseason status and seeding potential?
Yeah, they're going to make the tourney. It's just where they're seeded. Certainly, 3 or 4 weeks left in the regular season. Weren't in the top 10 that the committee updated last night.
Shoot.
So that stinks because you want to be top 16, then you host the first 2 rounds. Last year, BYU did not. They had to go on the road. They lost in the second round. the hope is that you finish strong. You have Kansas in a couple of weeks. That'd be a big game and a big win. If BYU can win out, certainly I think they have a good argument for top 16.
Yeah.